welcome back to Scale Modelling Tutorials. This is episode 8, stripping paint with Dettol, tested. So since I started scale modelling, I've looked at lots of the advice flying around, some great tips out there, and one I've seen coming up every now and again is the use of Dettol to strip paint. So I thought I'd test it out on this piece here. I got into a bit of a rabbit hole with. This is the bottom of a Typhoon that I was testing out some different painting methods, and before long I got to the point where it was a complete mess, nowhere near where I wanted it to do. So I thought this is an ideal test case for testing out Dettol and seeing what it can actually do for when we do make those inevitable mistakes and if we decide to strip paint back. So this piece was primed with Tamiya fine surface primer, and then it was painted over with a variety of paints, some Humbrol acrylics and some Vallejo from the Model Air series, until I got to this state here where I thought, right, that's it, that's that piece ruined, let's strip it back. So once you've prepped the piece for stripping, what I've done is I've cut all the sharp edges off to make sure it doesn't pierce. What you need is just a normal sandwich bag, a Ziploc bag works best, and of course a bit of Dettol. So just take the part, pop it inside the bag, get some Dettol, and put enough in there that you can completely cover the part. So this is going to get left at least overnight to give it a good chance of soaking in. You'll be happy to know that this particular type of bag, I'll let you know now before we get to the next bit, it didn't leak at all. It sat in there really well. So I'm just making sure the entire model's covered, and just fold it over so you can keep as much of the plastic coated in the Dettol as possible. Then all you have to do is find a nice safe space for it to sit for the next day while the Dettol does or doesn't do its magic. Also, of course, you've got to resist the urge to keep going back to it and poking it and prodding it. Just leave it alone. Let it do what it's got to do. I found it really difficult.
24 hours later.
So here we are a day later. So I've got myself prepared. I've got a nice plastic tub and a jug of warm water, a couple of stiff paintbrushes, some more Dettol obviously, just to have a look if there's any places where it needs a little bit more going over, and some cotton buds. So let's have a look at the actual part itself and see just how stripped it is or isn't. So as you can see, there's been a bit of action overnight. There's lots of the paint is loose. There still seems to be a bit stuck to the actual model itself, but we won't really know what it's like until we get in there and have a look. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add about half a pint of warm water directly into the bag and hopefully separate out some of those particles of paint so I don't drag them out with it. What you'll find is the paint will sit in the Dettol, but if you get it out and rub it between your fingers, it will coat your fingers like it's repainting. So we don't want that to happen to the model. So just give it a little swill with some warm water and hopefully separate out some of that loose paint. So fishing the model out of the plastic bag, leave the dirty used Dettol in the bag and just pull the model out itself into your plastic tray so you can have a good look at it. So on first inspection it looks like the Dettol has in fact stripped off a good 95% of the paint. It's a much better result than I anticipated, if I'm honest. So what we've got to do now is make sure that any big lumpy clangy bits are removed. As I said, they will repaint the model once that barrier between the Dettol and the paint is gone. So we're going to add a bit more raw, fresh Dettol to the model. Then with a good stiff brush, we're going to remove the big chunks of paint out of there and see where we are. Once we've got the big chunks away, we can use the stiff brush, soaked in the Dettol, to basically scrub the piece around where all the paint is still adhering, and you'll find it just washes off really easy. In fact, I was very, very surprised at how easy it started to come off. Just the tiniest bit of paint remains inside the panel lines, but we'll get them with the cotton bud when we finish with the main body. Now I know it's not important to remove the primer, but we're testing how the Dettol works on as much as we can. So flipping it over, which this side has just got primer on it, you can see it just comes off so easily. So now I'm just going to swap over to a cotton bud. We're 99% stripped, so I'm just going to go with a cotton bud along all the panel lines to make sure we don't lose any detail. Now I'm going to add some warm, clean water just to get rid of all those paint particles and make sure they separate away from the model and stay within the water and Dettol and rather on the model itself. Final once over with a good stiff plastic brush before we give it a rinse with clean water, dry it off and see what we're left with. So now we've got it dried off, it's time to have a look at the piece, and as you can see, it's pretty much like new after lots and lots of coats of paint. 24 hours overnight, soaking in Dettol and a bit of a scrub, and it's come out almost like new. I can't see much places where there's any discoloration or any paint sticking to it. So there we are, confirmed. Dettol is the way to go if you get yourself into a bit of a painting rabbit hole and you need to come back from it. Thank you so much for watching another one of my scale modeling tutorials. Please do leave a comment, leave a like, leave a subscribe. It really helps me grow my channel. Also, if you want me to test anything else, leave a comment and I'll have a look into it and make another video for you. Thank you for the support. Please consider having a look at the Facebook group and joining in. I've had a few people join recently and they're showing their work there. So until the next one, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again soon.